Hey, Decide Destiny crew, Carl Spreedy's here. Thanks for joining me for another Decide Destiny daily dose. Decide to realize that more power, not less, is required to fix what's broken. Every time that I've had something broken in my life, whether it's been a relationship, whether it's been health, whether it's been something physical, whether it's been something spiritual, whatever it has been, it's required more power from me. It's actually been a moment of spiritual, philosophical, ethical requirement of me to demand more of myself, to dive a little bit deeper, to pull out a little bit more greatness in there, a little bit more skill, a little bit more potential, a little bit more boldness, a little bit more risk. It's required me to pull out more strength from within, more power. And whatever I'm pulling out, I'm creating power with that. And that's what it takes. It's not a relinquishing power and handing everything over, bending down, laying down to die. That's obviously not the direction to take. And I think one of the things that can happen is that we can get lost in the impact. We can get lost in the moment, the emotion, the stress of it, and we get caught up in that. And then we actually have this phase of inability to act. We get stuck, we're stagnant, we're prolonging the pain, we're prolonging the trauma that's going to be there in every cell that's going to carry on. We're prolonging the whole cycle rather than realizing and going quickly, this is another learning experience for me. This is another moment for me to gather more power. And power is a good thing. I'm not talking about immoral power. I'm not talking about power over another, dominion. I'm talking about your inner power. That power is a brilliant thing. It's a good thing. It's a thing that you should be looking for each and every day. You should have a power list to start your day, 5 tasks to smash. You should have a powerful morning, powerful start to your day. Listen to a powerful song. Bring power back into your life so that you can conquer your morning. You can conquer all your laziness, all your weaknesses, because you're required to be strong, to be able to add value, to be able to serve, to be able to contribute, to be able to be an investment for your family, be able to invest in yourself, to be able to be, an attribute to your family, to be able to leave a legacy. It requires you to have more power. And one of the great things that I heard recently, one of the something philosophical, was Sparta. I think it's become quite a mainstream sort of information from history that we know, the 300 movie and many different things like that. But what happens is when things become mainstream, we only know the surface levels. We only notice the what's on the surface of the ocean. We don't kind of dive deeper. We don't dive deeper into some of the practices and the lessons generally, unless we have an interest. If we have an interest, we dive deeper. And it's how do you get an introvert to become an extrovert? You get them to talk about something they're interested in. So if you have an interest, you will dive deeper into it, you'll have passion, and you'll learn more. And one of the things I learned recently was how the Spartans, when they would go off to war, one of the things they would do is they would write on 2 sticks. They would write their name twice, or they'll carve their name twice. They'll carve it on one side of the stick, and then another side of the stick, and they'd break that stick in half. They'd leave one stick on them, and they would give one stick to I don't know if it was the captain or that they'd give it to the general, someone who was gonna be important. So they would do that, and then what would happen at the end of the battle? The captain or the general or whoever it was, they would call out. So they would get all the sticks out of the pocket, and they'd call them out, call the names out, and they people that survived would come up, and then all the fallen soldiers, all the fallen brothers, all the fallen members of the unit obviously wouldn't come up to the group. So what they did is they would get into a huddle and they would cry. They would, cry to the Lord. They would moan. They would excrete all this emotional angst. They would get rid of it all then and there at the battle scene. And they would do it around this little fire. And in the fire, they put all the names of their fallen comrades. And one of the brilliant things about that is that, they were sharing emotion. So you think of Spartans, you think just these brutal, aggressive people, but they actually, the power they had is they cared. The power they had was that passion. The power they had was that emotion. Just like an introvert can have power to be an extrovert, and there's nothing wrong with an introvert. Either side, whatever you label or assign yourself to, there's nothing wrong with it. But obviously, there are times where being an extrovert can be beneficial. So an introvert can become an extrovert when they talk about something passionate, and in that exchange, they become powerful. So these Spartans were getting rid of that emotion, because what would happen is if they don't get rid of that emotion, if they don't, process that pain, they would leak power. They would lose power away from themselves, and they would carry that emotion. They would carry that trauma. They would carry it back to the city when they've got to continue to train, continue to provide for their family, continue to prepare for the next war, continue to be, the Spartans, they didn't have any walls around their city. Their soldiers, their men were their walls. That's what they famously said. So for them to go home and be the walls, be these strong men, they needed to get rid of that emotion in that moment. And that was a powerful experience. So just be aware of how you can you can see power, how you look at power, because you might look at Spartans and go, they're powerful because they, one Spartan was worth every 5 Persians, or whatever it is. But something powerful that they did was cry, was ooze that emotion out, was get rid of that emotion so it wasn't carried with them, so it wasn't weakening their system, weakening their ability to show up and be powerful. So guys, I hope that that helped you out to realize there is that, there are those little details in life that we really do have to pay attention to, and not just look for the headline hero, be a headline hero. Look for those little details, because there's so much wisdom there. And it really is, if you want to fix some of the problems, some of the things that are broken in society, in the world, it's about bringing power back to ourselves. And that's what the Spartans were doing. They were getting rid of that emotion, getting rid of that pain. The world was crumbling around them, changes, things that they didn't want to happen was happening around them. And they were having that moment, they were getting rid of that pain, they were they were creating a space where they could actually transmit that pain, that emotion out of their system, so it didn't weaken them any longer. And in doing so, they made themselves more powerful. And in being more powerful, they were able to be better contributors, add more value to their family, to their people, to their tribe. So that's what I'm saying here. Look at it as you need to have more power in yourself. You need to have more power within you. Be less dependent. Be less plugged in. Be less... Don't be weak. Don't be, maybe weak's not the right word here. Don't be told what you're required to be, okay? Work it out for yourself. How do I feel when I'm powerful? How do I feel when I'm reliant? How do I feel when I'm independent? How do I feel when I am being dependent? How do I feel when I'm strong? How do I feel when I'm weak? Work it out yourself. Because trust me, when you have that power within you, when you feel powerful, you're going to make some amazing moves in your life, amazing moves forward for your life, for others in your life. So carry that power. It has the ability to fix a lot of problems. It has the ability, yes, it might be powerful. You might have to break something down in order to build it up. And that's the death and rebirth. That's the philosophy of life that's going to happen. But make sure you have that power within you, and you find ways to bring more power to you and build that power up like a fire, so that you can contribute, so that you can be a part of the positive change and the positive impact on this world that we want to see. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed that one. Share it around with anyone else you feel who maybe they look at power in different way, or maybe they've been programmed to look at power in the wrong way, or maybe someone has told them why power is bad. Maybe this will help them to see why it's important to bring power back into themselves, into their families, into their communities. You think about how do we improve, rugby? How do we improve? How do we make a national change in our country? We've got to go back to the grassroots. We have to build it up from the grassroots, the local communities. We have to have our voices heard there, that we want to change something, that we want to improve something. And once they're heard there and we shake enough, it gets louder and louder, and then Chinese whispers, it goes on. Or like a fire, it rages on. So, yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed that one. And remember, as always, decide your destiny. Cheers.